if you're looking for 10 places to visit in Dublin, then join me here in the Phoenix Park. I'll go through a list of my top 10 places that you should visit in Dublin. And number one, might as well start where I am now, and that's the Phoenix Park in Dublin. So the Phoenix Park is one of the largest walled parks in all of Europe, and it holds Áras an Uachtaráin, which is the President's house, the Irish Ambassador's residence, Dublin Zoo, and then there's, I think, thousands of acres, I could be a little wrong with that, of greenery and a little bit of forest that you can go on walks, cycles, driving around on the roadways. There's also plenty of sports grounds, so cricket halls and rugby. And then to top it off, there's none around at the moment, but they have some wild deer which were introduced to the park like 200 years ago to be hunted. But since that's stopped now, they're very well looked after. And you can usually find them near the rugby pitches. But that is number one. I'm trying to keep an eye on my pathway so I don't get a little confused about where I'm going. Then on the way out of the Phoenix Park, you could go across the road to St James's Gate, and that will bring you to the Guinness Brewery. So I'm not really one for doing tours or like kind of gimmicky tourist traps, I would say, but it's actually not. It's very worth it. It's good. Maybe it could take anything from 1 hour to 2 or 3 hours, depending on how slow you are going through it. You can do it as part of a big group, and then at the end you can go up to the Gravity Bar and have a pint of Guinness right at its source. Ooh, it's very dark in here, maybe I won't go in this way, so I'll keep going. Guinness Brewery would be number 2 on the list. You can book that ahead of time, but there's usually always places, unless it's like peak summer season and there might be big groups. And across the road then from the Guinness Brewery, so number 3 on the list for me would be Collins Barracks, and that's a free museum which has a lot of Ireland's military history, so dating back to the 1700s, and obviously our close links with the United Kingdom, so we'd had a lot of Irish men served in both world wars, the Boer War, and then up to more modern times with Ireland's UN peacekeeping. So there's lots of stuff there from the War of Independence and 1916, and then there's also usually different exhibitions on that you can go and enjoy. And Collins Barracks is directly across from the Guinness Brewery, so you can check out both of them on the same day. And because it's free, if you're not enjoying it, you can simply leave and won't feel like you've wasted money. But if you're kind of into your history or just want to get a little bit of a grasp of things, that would be a nice free outing. Then carrying on, number 4 on my list would be Kilmainham Gaol, and that'll keep up with the history team that kind of will run through a lot of my videos. But Kilmainham Gaol will give you insights into Ireland's independence movement, the 1916 Easter Rising, and then how that had an impact on Ireland's gain for independence and the War of Independence. So it's very short as well, like usually an hour or an hour and a half there will give you a good insight, but recommend booking that ahead of time because it's usually sold out, and you might struggle if you're just landing and you're trying to get tickets. But you can also try the Kilmainham Gaol website in the early morning, and sometimes tickets go on resale if people haven't showed up or if people had to cancel at last minute, so you might get lucky and get tickets on the last day. So that's number 4. Then number 5, we're moving into the city centre, and I would suggest a walk from the Garden of Remembrance at the top of O'Connell Street down towards Grafton Street. So if you, the deer are there, if you start at the Grafton Street or the Garden of Remembrance, and walk down to through O'Connell Street. You'll pass the GPO, Cleary's Hotel, or Cleary's store, and the Gresham Hotel, cross over O'Connell Bridge, and continue down. Oh, it's squirrels! Continue down to over O'Connell Bridge, past Trinity College, and then down Grafton Street, and then you'll end up on St Stephen's Green. So it's like a nice little walk through the north and south side kind of the city centre. You'll pass some of the old historical buildings, like the GPO is very important, very famous. You can pop into Trinity College then, which could have its own, that could be its own list or own slot on the top 10 places to visit in Dublin, but you could do that on the walkway, I think. And then Grafton Street's the main shopping street, and then St Stephen's Green is where you can chill out, get some food or even a pizza, and you can eat out on the green there. So yeah, that's number 5. Number 6, then I wouldn't really recommend it, but kind of have to, but that would be Temple Bar. If you're a tourist, you're going to pop in there because obviously it is the tourist place, but it's also the one that's well known, so even if it is a bit of a rip-off, you're going to know. I'd suggest taking a picture outside the Temple Bar pub and then maybe having a drink at one of the bars around the area, but then move out, head down to Fade Street or Dawson Street, which is just like 5 minutes walk. You'll actually bump into Irish people on a night out, because most avoid Temple Bar just because of the price of everything and the kind of gimmicky nature of some of the bars. There you'll meet some as well, but Fade Street, Dawson Street would be my recommendations, and they'd be much closer. And yeah, a little bit out of breath here, it's crazy. And then number 7 would be, where would we go for number 7? A trip out of Dublin City, maybe a little bit, but out to Howth, which is like a little, it's part of Dublin now, but it is its own village and an area. That's a bus ride away, maybe like 20-30 minutes. Definitely in the summer it would be much nicer, but winter you get good views of the Irish Sea. It's a small little village, lots of shops, pubs, cafes, restaurants to try out, and it's a little bit of a break, kind of like the way the Phoenix Park is. It's a bit of a break from the actual city itself. You could have a little bit of an escape if you wanted to try something new, and then you could also do a trip kind of towards the Dublin Mountains, Wicklow Mountains area, if you wanted to try something a little different than the city centre. And next up we have number 8, and one of my personal favourites, and that would be Glasnevin Cemetery. So keeping with the history themes again, but Glasnevin Cemetery does really good tours, different styles of tours. So you could have the kind of revolutionary period, you'll visit those graves. There's lots of Republican plots, and some of the most important people in Irish history are buried in Glasnevin Cemetery. You can also walk in and do your own little mini tour, or if you ask the people that work on reception, they're always very good at trying to find the graves that you're looking for. If it's someone famous, they'll know straight away. Someone lesser known, or maybe a family member you're looking for, if you have some of the details or as much details as you can, they will try and find where the grave is. But they do a great tour. Also Daniel O'Connell's buried there, so you go to the Daniel O'Connell round tower, visit the grave of Michael Collins, Patrick Pearce, Michael Collins, and lots of the other leaders, so Donovan Rossa, Countess Markovich. So the tour there is very, very good, and you can also visit that yourself. But yes, some of the famous graves in Ireland, and also you'll get a history of the people. So you can book the tour, or you can go in yourself and do a self-guided tour, which is what I usually do. And if you wanted, then you could also visit Dean's Grange Cemetery and Mount Jerome Cemetery. They're 2 other historical cemeteries in Ireland with the graves of famous individuals such as the Guinness family. And number 9, as I was saying, could be included, is a visit to Trinity College. So it's Ireland's oldest university, has the Book of Kells, it has the old library tour, which I haven't done in years, but I heard it's still very good. And the grounds itself are nice. Now they keep doing renovations, so sometimes it looks like a bit of a building site, but Trinity College, you could definitely get lost in there for a couple of hours, and the Book of Kells is definitely worth checking out. And the last one is kind of a group together, but the Cathedral, Christ Church Cathedral, and Dublin Castle. If you wanted to visit any of them, Dublin Castle, lots of signposts, so kind of little information boards that will tell you about the history of parts of the castle. So you don't need to do a tour, but if you're doing a walking tour, you'll probably end up there. The Chester Beatty Museum is at the back of Dublin Castle, and then both the Cathedral and Christ Church Cathedral are some of Ireland's oldest and largest cathedrals, so they're very nice to check out in the city centre as well. So they can be, I'll group them 10 or those last 3 buildings together because they're in close proximity to one another. But if you're doing one of Dublin's many walking tours, you'll probably end up at one of them. But most of those walking tours start on O'Connell Street or near the Phoenix Park. So there's the 1916 Easter Rising tour, there is Bram Stoker's tour, so you get up around Marion Square. Marion Square is also an additional one, you can check out that area as well. Lots of Ireland's famous authors were there. Sorry, I'm looking directly in the sun. But yeah, they would be my top 10 places to visit in Dublin. So if you happen to visit any of them, or if you're missing out on the list, like food places or anything, let me know. Oh, also last one, the Celt Bar on Talbot Street was probably my main recommendation for somewhere to go for a drink.